Okay, for this chapter study, we're going to talk about some finger picking. I definitely use a lot of finger picking. I play a lot of solo guitar, and I do a lot of acoustic guitar with it too. You could finger pick on electric or acoustic. Let's go ahead and talk about some cool patterns, exploring some different ways we can use our fingers. Okay, now for number one, we're going to be working off of a pattern where we're going to use our thumb and then our index, middle, and ring. And this is going to be like a thumb and it's a claw concept too. So we'll talk about hitting chords at the same time and then individually. But usually when I'm picking with my fingers, it's going to be these four fingers. You can also pick with your pinky too, but all these are going to incorporate these main fingers. Okay, now it's a concept of having the thumb hitting a lot of our bass notes, and then we can use these three fingers as a team to each have their own specific string. Okay, I'll just be playing these one time, but I'll definitely recommend repeat them a bunch and check out your different tempos. Okay, now for number one, my thumb's going to be hitting the fifth string, and we're going to be working off of a C major chord. Now my index finger is ready to hit the fourth string, middle finger is on the third string, and then my ring finger is on the second string. And that's what I'm going to be using whenever we hit those particular strings with those fingers. Okay, now as far as our chords go, we're going to do a C major chord for bar one. We're going to go C major, 7 for bar 2. Bar 3 has a C7. And then we'll take it to an F major 7. Okay, now, as our pattern switches to that last chord, I am going to shift my thumb and other fingers up a set of strings. So this thumb and claw can also move around like this, and we'll be exploring that too in the process. Okay, here comes number one. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Here's number one a little faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, for number two, I'm going to be having A minor for the first bar, and my claw is going to be based off of the 3 high strings for this one, and my thumb is hitting the open 5th string. Now, second bar, I'm going to switch to an A minor 7 chord, same concept. When I go to a D minor chord in bar 3, my thumb will shift to hit the 4th string. And then when we go to a G7, my thumb's going to come all the way down to my 6th string to hit the bass notes. So you'll notice the thumb is in charge of a lot of the bass notes, and it's going to sometimes have the 6th string, sometimes the 5th or the 4th string, depending. Okay, here comes number 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Number 2 a little faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, now for number 3, we're going to switch our pattern a little bit. I'm going to be rolling from my ring finger to my middle to my index for these next ones. And for the first bar, we're going to be on a G major, so my thumb's on the low 6th string. Second bar, we're going to go to a C major, and I'm going to shift my thumb to the 5th string. When we go to a D major in bar 3, my thumb is now on the 4th string, and it'll stay there when we go to a D7. Okay, here comes number 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, here's number 3 a little faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, for number 4, I'm going to start off with an A major chord on bar 1, and I'm going to have my thumb on the open 5th string. We'll switch it to an A7 on bar 2, thumb still on the same string, and when we go to a D major to a D minor for the next 2 bars, my thumb will just stay on the open 4th string. Okay, here comes number 4. And 2 and 3 and 4 and... Here's number 4 a little faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, for number 5, we're going to go into 3-4, and we'll also be in 3-4 for number 6. Okay, now for this one, I'm going to be rotating my bass notes from the open 6th string. I'm going to go to my 5th string, and then I'll go to my 4th string, and then back to my 5th string. So we're going to have a little bass line built in with this. First 2 bars are going to be in E minor, and then the 3rd and 4th bar will be in E major. Here's number 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Here's number 5 a little faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, for number 6, we're going to stay in 3-4, and we're going to have a descending bass line. The first bar is going to be a C major. We're going to have a C over B for bar 2. And then we're going to go to an A minor 7 in open position for bar 3, and then we'll climb back up with that C over B again. And then for your C over B, if you just think a C major chord, just go to your middle finger to take your bass line down to the 2nd fret on the 5th string, and then you can keep your index where it was, and then usually just avoiding that 4th string. And then I'll give you that descending bass line down to your open A string. And for this one, my thumb's always going to be on the 5th string. Okay, here comes number 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Here's number 6 a little faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, now for number 1, we're going to be working off of a G major chord, just your straight up G. Here's the concept. If I hit a bass note on beat 1, that's just my low G. On beat 2, I'm going to hit a bass and then a chord, 2 and then I'll just repeat that again, 3 and then 4 and. Okay, now here comes number 1. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Number 1 a little faster. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, for number 2, we're going to do a similar concept, but now my bass line is going to rotate from a low G to my open 4th string, and that's the note D. That's the 5th in the key of G, and that's going to give us a cool bass line that's going to sound like this. So real popular for bass lines. If you've ever experimented with some bass or tuned into the bass, roots and fifths are great bass lines to start to build. Okay, now here's number 2 nice and slow. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then here's number 2 even faster. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, for number 3, we're going to be working off of a C major, and we're going to just have our roots in the bass for all 4 beats, and then we'll be doing our chord pops on the end of 2, 3, and 4 again. Here's number 3 nice and slow. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Here's number 3 a little faster. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, now for number 4, we're going to rotate a bass line, but this time we're going to be playing a root and a major 3rd. So in your C chord, you've got a built-in E right on your D string, on the 4th string. So my thumb's going to be rotating from my 5th to my 4th string, and I'm going to be doing those same chord pops. Okay, here comes number 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Here's number 4 a little faster. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, for number 5, we're going to switch it to a D minor, and I'm just going to be doing my open 4th string, all these Ds in the bass for this one with those same chord pops. Here comes number 5 slow. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, now here's 5 a little faster. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and... Okay, for the last one, number 6, we're going to do the same D minor jam, but this time I'm going to have a rotating bass line from my open 4th string to my open 5th string. That's the note A, that's my 5th, in the key of D, and we're going to be playing a lower 5th for this bass line. So as opposed to climbing up like this, now we're going to be like... Another great way to play your bass lines is just put that 5th down. Here comes number 6. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and... And here's number 6 a little faster. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and...